Wait, are we ready to start?
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I know. The way Stephanie says garage.
Well,
Garage.
because of me now. Garage.
Is that how you say it?
It's because it's how my dad says it. Growing up with someone with an Irish accent, like there's certain words that the inflex.
In
or
the
like
garage.
The garage. Or like the letter H. H.
Yes.
H.
Yeah, H.
H.
Yeah.
Sorry, that took
do
me a
love
lot
Irish
longer than it
accents,
should have.
but they're
No, it's thick as fuck. It's hard to tell what you're saying there. Because it's all right here and it's got right here. Everything sounds like a question.
Exactly. Oh my god!
I
was.
Wait,
on
can you start the show?
Hold
so
on.
we
I was on a date. I was on a date with this British guy, and his mom is Irish.
Okay.
And oh man, his Irish imitation was spot on.
Oh, okay.
It was so good.
Yep.
Love that.
I'm gonna need him to do it again while we're like fucking. Anyways, are we recording?
Yeah, recording.
Welcome back, Double Teamed fam. How are we doing on this fine Thursday? We brought our
It's a Friday.
or well, whatever day this releases on
no,
Thursdays.
just kidding. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. But honestly, people listen to it all days of the week. So
Yeah.
so
Happy whatever day. I swear there's a mosquito in here.
happy
Joseph,
whatever day
I
you're listening.
just
this
got bit again on the toe. Anyways, we brought Rose back, our BFF / sister,
I know. I
as
just,
she introduced herself to two random dudes that were in here before us. Anyways, how are you?
I'm good. Actually, no, that's a lie. I'm fucking stressed as fuck.
Okay, me too.
I know, but she's got
Me fucking too.
Not
You're
to-
more stressed.
not
I
to
feel like.
invalidate your
Thank you. Why are you stressed,
experiences.
boo?
Just so many different things going on.
Wait, like what?
Well, we got the live show. Oh, this is releasing right before the live show. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we,
there's a live
we had to
show.
prep for the live show. You know, travel coming up, the nerves of putting on a show. I've talked about this before. But then just like, you know, life things in general. Like I just feel a little overwhelmed at times, you know.
I know, isn't it weird? I also was like, I was talking to neighbor bestie Alyssa about how this, like, in a weird way, this time that everyone is experiencing really feels like pandemic 2.0 energy. Like it's giving pandemic because it's like everyone I know is like stressed about money, can't find a job, is like moving back home. Like it's this very weird, like, you know.
for the writers, because I assume you're talking about your friends that are in that industry.
Yeah. We're all like, damn, I'm at home writing because, you know, or on, you know, on the picket lines getting a sun. I got like somewhat of a tan. It's not really a tan. It's just my freckles connecting more intensely. So it like
freckles
looks, yeah, it's like, it's, you know, but I've been on like the picket lines and I'm like, ooh, fun, you know, and then after a while you're just like, it's burned out. You just get exhausted. You're kind of like, fuck, you know, these assholes. Every time you see like an executive roll out of the studio in a Tesla, you're just like, I hope your battery dies, you know?
Yeah, I get
But
it.
I'm fine.
Which sucks if your Tesla dies, because like you gotta get that shit towed. You can't just like get a can of gas. And
You can't. And also,
Yeah.
more importantly, that shit is so hard to like get fixed. Like you have to like
Yeah.
get a specialty and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, I don't. You guys putting on a live show, I mean, like it's amazing. I'm so
Also,
excited
I want to
go.
say about the strikes. I did
Yeah.
pull some tarot cards for it. I think the future looks good.
Okay, what are we thinking? October?
Oh,
January?
I didn't get a time
Oh,
frame,
okay.
but I got a lot of I got the 3 of Pentacles, I got the King of Swords, which is a lot of like King of Swords is Aquarius, which has to do with like humanity and like the collective, and then 3 of Pentacles is like everyone working together and whatnot. So it was I pulled some really good cards because one of our friends who's a writer, he writes a show called Open to It. It's about like a gay polyamorous couple. I know, which is so fun. And so we were talking about the strike, and I had my tarot cards, and I was pulling them. I'm like, this is looking good. I didn't get a time frame. But Aquarius, if I got King of Swords, that's Aquarius season until like February. Maybe we'll see.
Oh, that's really far away. I was hoping you would say it's like Libra or something, which is like early October.
Yeah.
No, but this, I mean, yeah, it's,
We'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. If someone is really interested on understanding like what the strike is about and like what's happening, like there are far more educated people, I feel like, in my industry that can talk about it. But there is a other podcast called Talk Easy with Sam Frago, and he interviews this guy named Alex O'Keefe, and he does a really great interview. I love that you're scratching your
Sorry,
toes.
it's
No,
really
get it.
itchy.
Get in there. Get in your toes.
I'm kidding.
I'm also just helping all the people that can't see your beautiful feet to get off on them. To know that you were scratching your feet. But with that, Alex O'Keefe, who has nothing to do with feet right now, he's a great person that has like, he breaks down like what's happening with the strike. And I believe he's like running to be on the WGA board.
Love that.
And he wrote for The Bear. And so he has really interesting insight. I know. He wrote for first season. And he has some really interesting insight because he like started off as like a politician. Like he wrote speeches for like, I think it's like Obama and Elizabeth Warren and like all these things. So he like comes from a very working cast. What is this?
It just randomly came on.
Oh,
Can we put a?
But that's dope.
Out? Interesting.
Yeah. So
And so they
Talk
talk about
Easy.
more about it. Yeah.
They talk a lot about like what's happening and like why we're basically like what the whole point of like what this entire strike is going on.
I'm just so sad that like, so many of our shows aren't going to come back for a long time.
I mean, that's the other reason why I like tell people like you really need to understand like this affects so much. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's what's it called is going to be the big one. Like The Last of Us is another one that's like probably not going to be around until 2024. I mean, Stranger Things not going to come out until like maybe 2024,
House of the
2025.
Dragon?
I'm gonna say, that show takes forever.
Yeah.
So because
Yeah.
everything's CGIing it, and
Yeah,
that's
those
gonna,
dragons take forever to build.
right? And so that's gonna be
Just
a
take
hot
them out.
second. Just take them.
Just hang out. We don't need the dragons. You need the cold house
Just
of the
like
dragons.
it's just all about like feelings. You know what I mean? They just sit around and like talk about how they're like, I don't like it when you storm my castle. You know what I mean? There's no
You
dragons.
ate my kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to go off on this tangent,
Let's go.
but there's something that just came to mind, especially like since you are a writer, and like something that like I always see in shows is like their poor attempts at portraying non-monogamy and kink, and I'm really curious what goes on in those rooms. Does anyone know what they're talking about when it comes to poly or like or anything? Have you experienced any of that?
I have.
Oh.
And what's really interesting about my industry is that
Or just love in general, I feel like.
There's not enough women and there's not enough like queer representation in a lot of writers' room. And there's just like comes this part where like a lot of writers' rooms are not that diverse. You know what I mean? It's like I'm even speaking as like a white woman. So it's like usually just like a lot of white people, whether that be male, female, or anything in between. So with a lot of writers' rooms, like one of the main things that I don't think people are talking about enough in the strike is we're also like championing for more diversity.
Yeah.
And because of that, that helps in the storytelling and telling things. I will say though, I think a lot of times in this very weird era that we're living in, I think people will keep their thoughts to themselves because they're so embarrassed and terrified to say the wrong thing. So it's like there's a lot of times where I'm in a room and a guy will start talking about something and then he's like, well, not to be sexist. And it's like, but this is a writer's room. Like just put it out there. And like if it offends someone, someone's gonna be like, hey, that's offensive. And that's it. We just don't talk about it. But this idea of like trying to be as like PC as possible.
Yeah.
And then I think it restricts the artist as well as the art. And I also do think a lot of people like, especially, I mean, you know me, I'm in a monogamous relationship and I am team monogamy in my own, just because of me personally. But I don't think I would be the best person to articulate polyamory.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot of people that are like, I want to talk about it, but like don't know how to talk about it.
Like they want to see it represented, but then, the people in these rooms don't know. Yeah, I see.
Exactly. And so then it's like, but they always do like the surface of it all. You know what I mean? And they
or like
always
a quick Google search and then they're like, okay, this is what I learned. And then they throw
and
it
then
in
all of a
there.
sudden, like in the poly relationship, you have like one person that gets jealous over the other, and you're like, yeah, but if it's like a healthy poly relationship, you've started and talking about jealousy, and it's like something you address.
Yeah.
Versus it's like, oh, okay, the husband wants to do it, and then the wife's like, I'll just do it to help the marriage, and then like the marriage falls apart, and it's like
They make it the drama. They make the toxic shit the drama.
and you can just have like, and that's the thing is the same way that there's times where monogamy has no drama, you could do that in poly, where it's just like you have people that just like live together. I think the one representation, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, there is like a really interesting kind of poly-esque relationship in Better Call Saul. That's really interesting. And I've like watched it and I've been like, oh, I think this is like, because it just exists. Like there's these 3 people that happen to be in it's God, I can't think of the characters' names.
Because I didn't watch I watched like a few episodes of Better Call Saul, but I watched Breaking Bad.
No, this is a whole new cast of people.
Yeah.
Because this is pre. So they're not Breaking Bad characters except Saul.
Okay. Yeah.
But there is this like dude who
I'm
like
to go watch it.
Yeah, he like has these like 2 women in his life, and it's very obvious that like they just have something.
Yeah.
And like it's like hinted at, but it's not like the crux of their existence or anything.
See, I kind of like that. That I would be like at least like happy with that representation because again, they're not making it the drama and they're not like putting so much emphasis on it that like they portray.
It's just letting it be.
It's just letting it be.
Yeah.
And they just don't, and like it's just kind of, it makes it seem normal.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I do feel like Polly right now is like the gay best friend. Like it's become a trope now.
Yeah.
And it's so big in TV and television because like
1,000%.
You all are like, you know, anyone who's been in like the sex positive like areas, like, oh, we've been known about this shit.
Yeah.
So this idea of like trying to add it to like the masses, of course they're missing the point. But it's like the cool thing to be like, yeah, you can have the gay best friend. And then like everyone's like, everyone loves the gay best friend. And like he's a source of drama and like great material. And it's like, give him the witty lines or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then same thing with the Polly. Ooh, it's a great source of like stirring the pot, the drama of it all. So it's
like a fun side story. Yeah.
Exactly. But then if you look at like retrospectively how like the, you know, gay best friend was like a trope so long ago in like the 90s and stuff like that. Now you're looking at material where it's like you have stories about gay people that are just stories. Like them being gay is like a D storyline. It's just that they have a husband and that's it. So I feel like with a lot of representation that slowly happens in TV and film is it has to go through like a life cycle where then it just becomes, where it just becomes ordained. It's just so basic. Like, oh yeah, everyone's in a poly relationship.
Duh. Who does monogamy?
Who does monogamy now? I know. I'm going to look like a minority, right? So it's like there's
the diversity higher.
Yeah,
Okay, so in like 20 years, poly or E&M relationships won't be the
I
gay
hope
best
Kink
friend.
too. I hope Kink too gets more representation.
I feel like Kink started that journey earlier.
Yes.
Kink did. I agree.
It's not as parallel.
But you made a good point about the gay best friend because that's true. That's how we used to see gay people or like gay representation. Not gay people. I'm sorry. Gay representation or queer representation in TV. And now you see like actual shows. Like what was that movie that just came out? The red, white, and royal blue.
I know. Oh my God.
Did you watch it?
I first of all read the book. I haven't watched it yet, but I absolutely was a huge fan of the book. So
Wait,
I'm
I want to read the
excited.
books now after watching the movie.
It's just so sweet and tender. And you're like, okay, it's a rom-com. Like that's the thing I love is that people aren't calling it a gay rom-com. They're just calling it a rom-com.
Yeah.
And it's like family friendly. And then it just happens to be like, oh, there's 2 boys that are in love. That's not weird.
The one with the dark hair. What's his name?
He's a fine ass.
Both
of them are really cute, but he's
If he ever
My
sees
favorite is
this,
your number's at the bottom of the screen.
I saw it was the funniest thing. It was a TikTok that was talking about like how someone was like, all you guys took away from that movie was that gay men have missionary sex.
I saw that tweet.
And I was like, it's so true. Have y'all never watched gay porn?
And they're like, everyone's like, well, how do you do it? And I'm like, the way that we do. Like,
Wait,
I
I'm
was
curious.
like,
when you pegged a man, was it missionary?
yeah,
Same.
that's why I was like, it was missionary.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm reading a book right now. It's called American. Well, the first book is called American Queen, then American Prince, then American King. It's I think it's a 5-book series, and I'm on book 3. And it's basically a triad because it's this one girl, she falls in love with this one guy who's in love with this one guy, and the other guy's in love with her. So like they all love each other, but there's just a ton of drama, right? Mm-hmm. And in the book, like the 2 men have a ton of sex, at least in the second and third. And some of the sex scenes, I'm just like, oh my God. But my favorite one just happened. I just read it. One guy was fucking the girl while the other guy was fucking him.
That's a dream scenario for me.
And I was just like, oh my God.
I have a friend for her 30th birthday. Her boyfriend fucked her while a dude fucked him. And I was like,
damn, she won.
Right? I was like, I want to experience that.
Must be
because I want
nice.
the momentum from the first guy to come in.
It's domino sex.
I also saw it. I saw it on Twitter.
Wait, you saw the sex on Twitter?
No,
Wait, yeah, what?
You saw that on Twitter?
It was Rory Knox, that one.
Oh, Twitter does post porn.
The
yeah.
porn star that we had on the show. I met her.
I'm
at
not following the right Twitter account.
apparently. Apparently not.
Wait, what?
Okay, so Rory Knox, she's one of the porn stars that we have interviewed on the pod before. I met her at a sex party.
Okay.
And I follow her on Twitter, and she always posts like snapshots of scenes from her porn scenes. And the one she posted earlier today, it was a guy was sitting on the couch, and you just like see his legs and his balls and his dick, and then a guy on top of him with the guy's dick in him. And then the guy on top has Rory on top. And then his dick isn't her. And I'm just like, and for the bottom guy, I'm like, that's so much weight to carry.
It really is. It really is.
But also,
I feel like I would do it standing up or like against something like doggy, right?
Yeah, that's like a butterfly effect. It's just like a
Yeah.
ripple.
Yeah, it's like the butterfly.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, she looked like she was having a blast. But I saw that and I was like, what?
Damn, that is a stack and a half. I really like that idea. But again, the bottom man, that's a lot of work
That's
on
a
your
lot of
thighs and
I
everything.
know. Does that not? And how do you even like get the blood flow to your penis when there's that much weight on your legs?
shit.
I don't know. But I
He's
mean,
an
so it just
athlete at
it
that
takes me
point.
back to gay sex. Like guys do it missionary.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's just like again one of those things where it's like you are in who wrote that obviously is a gay person. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
So they knew and they can portray it right. Honestly, what you said gives me a lot of hope for the representation of like non-monogamy and kink in the future of like media because, like I said, what I've seen so far, I'm just kind of like, they
Should
didn't get it
Nikki
right. But
screen
maybe,
right?
as more people do, non-monogamy and more and kinky people, everyone's more like open about it, and we like foster that community. Then it can like seep into what we see on television. But what you said, the gay man thing, the gay best friend,
Yeah.
the parallel of that, that made it click for me.
Yeah,
that
but
made it click for me.
Gammy, I was literally about to be like, Nikki, it sounds like maybe you should write what you want to see in TV. I mean, that's the other way that I feel like
She is the writer of the family.
I was about to be like,
I'm the book
you
reviewer.
know?
She's the writer.
and
And you know what? I came up with.
I'd be willing to write a little screenplay.
do it.
I came up
Should
with a show the
I'm not
other
doing
day.
anything right now. Should I just do
But
it
I
for
already
fun?
Fucking do it.
And I already
Really?
gave you a story to base it off of.
What?
So I had the idea of like writing a show about basically like a group of friends, but none of them drink.
Oh,
the whole-
this was a great. This is actually a great. Yeah.
And the whole premise is like any single like they just like shame drinking.
Well, and on top of that, but like, it's like a lot of like satire about like people invite them to things and like they just like. They're like, oh my god, people are drinking. No, we're not. Like things like that. Like it's
They're
a lot
judgy.
not judgy, but more so like they're or like
Satirical.
yeah.
Okay.
How do I want to? I'm trying to figure out like a good way to put it, but yeah, that's what we thought about. It's like because so much of, for example, when we watched The Idol, there was a cigarette and an alcoholic drink in every scene, and I was like, so we had the
fucking
idea
show.
of roading, of
Roading it down.
we had the idea of a story or writing something where it was like instead they like make it a point to point out that like there's never any alcohol
That's
anywhere
huge.
around. Yeah. And on top of that, what if we make it like a non-monogamy, half of them are triads, the other or like
Yeah.
Exactly.
there's a
polyamorous
triad, there's
couple,
a yeah.
Wait, and I think that's
They all sleep with each other.
yeah, why not? And
Kiss.
they do it sober. That's great. I mean, that's literally my entire existence as someone who doesn't drink and has never been drunk. I'm like, yeah, no. But that's also really just interesting because it seems like what you're getting after is just kind of a deeper metaphor, which
Yeah.
is like people's obsession with one thing, whether it's like any addiction and just like, but then also how it's so normalized. You know what I mean? It's like alcohol.
we
is
all
just,
three write of this
Let's
together?
do it.
I'm
Say
down.
less.
Honestly, I am down.
There we go. We got it. We'll work on it.
Because you got to help us with like how, well, I mean, you and I can write it together. I don't know. Camille doesn't really like to write. She likes to.
You know, I'm gonna be
I like
honest.
to peer edit.
I was about you know what? We need that. You know, there's always that one person in the writer's room who is just like, I'm here to pitch ideas. I don't want to actually write a script. And you're like, okay, cool. Like it's just someone that you could just like voice off of and like work off
Yeah.
of. But
Because she's creative, but I don't
exists.
think she likes to put pen to paper quite
That's
as much.
fine. You don't have
Yeah.
to. It must be nice to not have that like primal urge to be like, I have to write.
See,
you
for
know?
me, I'm like, I have to write it.
No,
I'm like,
I
the
just-
idea's
I
there.
just-
I'm like, there was a whole, I had a friend who is in media as well. He's like a producer and director. And we were driving to Vegas one time and I'm like, And I told him about like this idea I had where it was like basically writing a series about how like each planet is at a different frequency. And so like it's about this like, you know, either one person or two people that like are able to like travel across the frequencies and like make it to different planets.
Ooh.
And we were like, we thought it was like the funnest thing. And I remember like I haven't had the time to like sit down and like write it, but I was like, oh, that would be so fun.
See?
So fun.
But that like writer urge to be
Yeah.
like, you know, there's some people that are like, oh, that's such a cool idea. And it's like, then they can bop around. And then as a writer, you're like, no, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
And I've like even had like bios for each character. And now I have to sit down and now I don't want to talk to anyone for 3 weeks as I like dive into my writing hole or K-hole is what they were talking about earlier. But like the writing hole of it all.
The writing hole, yeah.
That's a huge
Very
thing. And
familiar.
it's like, that's why it's becoming such, it's, you know, being a writer is such an isolated act, you know, but like, yeah, just like that primal urge to just have to do it. But to your original question about the whole kink of it all, I do think that there's also this like weird pressure to kind of add kink into things because I feel like kink is now being used as like the new car explosion or the new fight. It's like, but do you know what I mean?
That's a great metaphor though. Like the piss kink in you.
Yes, or the piss kink in. They also did a piss kink in Atlanta. The fact that it's just like, oh, it's something that people can talk about and go hee, and then people who like that are kind of like,
yeah. In House of the Dragon,
yeah.
they had a foot fetish,
See, and then it's like you're,
and that was all they talked about.
and there you go. It's like I think it's like a way that it's just becoming like the what they used to call is like the water cooler moment. Like, did you see that? Like, isn't that weird? And then of course you have that one person that's like, I don't think it's that weird.
I pee on my boyfriend all the
Like,
time in the shower.
There
You know,
you
like,
see, and that's like, and then that's the thing is that like everyone knows the term kink shaming until they're actually faced with that kink from their partner, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, I just made fun of it because it was in that episode of You, and like who the, you know what I mean? It's this, and then there's like, you know, there's so many layers to it, but like kink has now become, I feel like, unfortunately, a punchline, and it's not actually the idea of like exploring it. Like one of the best examples I feel like, and I hate doing this because I'm throwing the show under the bus, but like, and just like that, there was like this whole conversation about how, you know, Carrie seems like such a prude. Like they're talking about a threesome and she's sitting on the bed and she's like, well, I guess I gotta go. And it's like, well, Carrie's never been like a sex. She talks about sex, but she's not a sex advisor. She gives it relationship advice.
Yeah.
And she has always had milquetoast type of relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's always with a dude. I
Yeah.
mean, she felt immediately guilty when cheating on like Aiden. Like she's just very like atypical relationships. But then it's like someone like Miranda who you're watching explore these things but it's still a punchline.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, Miranda, are you into girls now? And she's like, I don't know. And it's like they're trying to explore it, but it sometimes feels like this, like it's a joke almost, instead of being like, no, like, yeah, Miranda is trying to understand her sexuality and stuff. But people
Like,
want to
that's
talk about
cool, yeah.
the weird threesome that like she had with Che and like Che's ex-husband. And it's just like failed threesome, I guess. But this idea that like that's normal and that's a conversation that then you could watch, which I think they did successfully, with Miranda being like, that's not really my thing. Like I'm not feeling it right now. And that's just not my conversation to be, or I'm not ready to have that conversation.
yeah.
But I mean, you know, that's one of my things I feel like I want to do in my writing is that like, you know, I'm all about kinks. I'm all about like, you know, not kink shaming and then like showing it as this, like, again, it's not a talking point. It's just like a normal ass activity.
Yeah.
Where it's just like gay missionary sex or like peeing on someone. It's like, if that's what you like, then that's what you like.
Yeah,
But it shouldn't
love
have
that.
to be, because I feel like if you make it such the point, you're actually isolating people from it. Because it's like, isn't it weird to have a foot fetish? Like foot fetish. And then you're like, well, no, people have that. And that's like, they're normal ass human beings. So yeah, I just think it's become a joke at this point. But I do think, again, kink is a little further than like poly when it comes to like this theory that I have about how it's like being accepted. But it still might take a while until that people are like, when people stop being shocked by things.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the weird thing that I feel like, you know, here we are in this type of world and it's like, it takes a lot to shock me. But
Same.
the
aliens didn't even do it.
Yeah, I was
know,
like,
right?
oh, you guys haven't thought aliens have lived here? What do you think Mitch McConnell is? A fucking alien this entire time. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's that
Who
type
built
of
the
shit.
pyramids?
who built the.
We
I have
all
so
watched
many
National
questions.
Geographic growing up, okay?
Okay, what was the one that Megan Fox did that she like voiced? Do you guys know about this?
No, I don't
There was
remember
like an alien series that I feel like she like did she's like really into aliens and stuff. And she like did the commentary on it. But anyways, I'm sorry. Now I'm going off topic.
Oh my god,
but
it's like
this idea of being shocked.
didn't Snoop Dogg narrate it was one of those animal ones. It was hilarious. Yeah.
No, it was him and Kevin Hart, and I think they're watching like the horse like show ones, the Esquire. Oh fuck, I don't even know. But like they're just and they're like, oh look at him, oh look, he's so fancy. Equestrians are like, oh look at his fancy feet work, and you're just like, I want that to happen. Like I really want Snoop Dogg to like talk about anything at all, honestly.
I know, because he's so funny.
But like be the commentator on like, I would love, especially because I've been watching the World Cup with my parents, if I was like, damn, I wish like Snoop Dogg was like telling me what's happening in the Women's World Cup, because he'd be like, damn, these girls run fast as fuck. Because that's like in my mind, I'm like, god damn, they're ruthless.
By the way, we're big World Cup fans, so.
Oh yes,
but we watch we watch when Argentina plays. That's who we watch.
Oh,
so.
well, obviously, as also, I'm so sorry. Well, because
Well, Messi?
Well, yeah. I mean, now that he's here, if you guys are going to go to a like Miami game, obviously, right?
I want to, yeah. But I looked at the ticket prices for Miami versus LA, and it was $400.
I know, it's pretty bad.
And the New York, he's playing in New York the weekend that we're there. Which, by the way, we need to keep an eye out for Messi. $10,000 a ticket. Yeah,
I didn't know Americans. First of all, that kind of makes me happy that Americans care that much about soccer now. I was about to call it football, but I'm not going to do that. Bitch.
It is football.
It is football. I don't. But like the fact that like
I guess we are American.
We are by accident. You know what I mean?
We're nationalized.
Is that how you do the national flag? Is this way?
You know
Not even over your heart.
You know that one? Have you watched The Proposal?
Oh, yes. Wait, the Sandra Bullock. Okay, yes. Okay.
At the very end, that one little...
the little moment where she's like going... Yes.
No, the little Mexican stripper at the very end when he's like... They're asking him, are you a citizen? And then he was like... Yes. And
Oscar
like,
from The Office?
Yeah. And,
Yep.
And then they're like, what's the national anthem? And he's like, God bless America. He goes, land that I love. It was so funny.
I love that you know that entire monologue. I actually just wanted you to recreate that entire movie. Just tell me. That's like my new favorite thing to do with people is that I'm like, no, tell me the entire movie from the beginning to the end. And it's just like so funny to watch someone be like, okay, and then it's just that explain. But I would like for you to recreate The Proposal. That should be one of your guys'.
What's that one scene that...
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes. When she's doing it to See? There you go. I think you guys should literally do
The turn this
as your
episode
Patreon.
took.
As a Patreon, it's just the two of you doing every single character from The Proposal. It's a Patreon episode that's like
so good.
See? There you go.
That is a great movie. There are some movies where I really do remember every line.
Every line. For me, it's Clueless, Drop Dead Gorgeous, 10 Things I Hate About You.
For me, it's Lilo and Stitch.
That's a great one.
Oh.
It's fish. No one else is gonna think this is funny. I know. I'm sorry. That's the best.
Everyone's
The
like,
Emperor's New Groove.
Oh my God. Yeah. Kronk the lava. Run,
What's that one line? The llama one? A llama! He's supposed to be dead!
Eartha Kitt.
good times.
Should we talk about fucking now? Because
Yeah.
they're like, what is this, the pop culture section?
Well, no. Okay, but
I'm kidding.
I like that we talked about writing and like kink and
Representation.
polyamory.
Yeah.
Very
Well, 'cause
nice.
that was something I was
very
thinking
nice
about the other day.
tangent.
I was like, well, because I know you're a writer, and that's what I was thinking about the other day. I was like, I wonder how Rose would like portray that, like if she were in a room, writing about that. And
Well,
so-
I can tell you right now, if I was working on a show where there was poly character, I would for sure reach out to y'all.
oh my God, please
Perfect.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I do think it's like sometimes, because, like I said, like writing is such an solitary act. I feel like a writer sometimes feels like they need to have everything right and they do all the research instead of just like, can I just ask you questions? Can I just interview? You know what I mean? To like make this authentic. I feel like there's so many times where a writer is like, no, I did this all by myself. And it's like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Like if you can just
You and
ask.
Google.
Yeah. Just like, have conversations with people. Like there are just some nuances that you're gonna miss naturally, And so you just can't have this like weird, like, no, it's just me and my art. And it's like, you want it to be authentic. and not look like a dick. Just,
I get it.
Right? Like on BMF, we have a character who's Haitian. And so we have a Haitian actor. And there were times that like he would come up and be like, yo, like actually this is the slang I would use. And I was like, then go ahead and do it. Like it didn't offend me. It just like it was like, oh, I don't want to offend anyone else. So it's this idea where it's like if you meet a point in your story where you have to then find like outsourced resource, don't feel embarrassed to be like, hey, I have questions. And I feel like so many fucking people, especially now, are so embarrassed to ask questions. And again, are embarrassed or scared to ask the wrong question. And it's like, because I don't want to offend anyone. I want to be like, you know, PC and everything. And it's like, well, it's intention.
Know who they asked on the non-monogamy side for some of the shows that I've watched. I'm like, y'all didn't ask anybody. Clearly, who wrote this? A white man.
I hate to, you know what? Probably yes, but I also hate to say it. I feel like sometimes they do, and they just don't take that person's advice.
Oh, that's true.
Example: they probably interviewed someone about poly, and they brought up jealousy, and they're like, "Nope, say no less. I just want to explore the jealousy," instead of like actually letting the person finish the sentence or like forgetting the thing. Sometimes. And look, I used to interview people for a living. When you go into an interview, you can't have the bias of like going after like one thing. Like you have to go out there an open heart being like, give me all your material. And then,
so you can see what it's all about.
Exactly. So I do feel like there probably are people that they do talk to about poly relationships on these shows and they just they cherry pick. They want what they think they want instead of like actually hearing the full story.
Well, maybe when everyone gets back, we can fix that. But let's write this sober.
Yeah, no.
Look, you're sober and I'm non-monogamous, so we can take Camilla's idea and write this little screenplay about a bunch of friends
fucking sober
who are non-monogamous and sober.
I love it. I was trying to be punny and like think of some like titles or whatever, but now I'm also
the title can come to us later. But
there we go. You know, shots, tops and bottoms, fuzzy navel. Pussy poppers. What is it? A pussy? No. Wet pussy. That's the drink.
It'll come to me.
Sorry.
Wet pussy?
Wet pussy is
that's a drink. Yeah. Is that a drink? And isn't that
huge
like
in Australia?
Yes, and it was just all over TikTok. Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah, because Margot Robbie was talking about it during the Barbie press tour. Did you watch Barbie?
I did.
Wait, but before we get into, I want to know more about your. Ew.
Well, that's when I saw Barbie with him, if that counts.
Okay, we'll start there. Okay, so y'all saw Barbie together. Did he like Barbie?
He did. He really I mean, he works in the industry, so he like was like, oh, the camera angles and like, you know,
it was well shot.
It was well shot. And also I feel like anyone who sees the movie, like the last third of it is very artsy. Mm-hmm. You know, there is that scene where it's like there's a lot of beautiful colors and the use of like a montage and everything. And you're like, whoa, this movie's like, you know, I feel like one of the best things that Greta did is that, you know, she was, you know, made it fun at the very beginning. You trust her enough that you're like, okay, fine. And then you start crying because she's like talking about like how hard it is to be a girl and you're just like bawling your eyes out.
Yeah, that part was amazing.
And then there's like this very beautiful ending that I think she like really guides the, you know, viewer out of that kind of sadness of like, is there any hope? And it's just this very melodic, like, okay, like I feel safe. I'm like, you know, that montage of just like, I love being a girl. Like, this is amazing. We can do anything. And then ending on that hilarious last line. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh yeah, I can leave. Yeah, exactly. I can leave like on a positive note. And so I really liked it. I do think, you know, I had this like weird thing where I was like, oh, it's so spot on. Like, I get it. It's about feminism. And my friend was like, shut the fuck up. It's a gateway drug. Like, people who don't know feminism are going to watch that movie and be like, wait, I guess equality is a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, everyone keeps on calling it propaganda, but then it's like, no, it's research. That someone would be like, oh my God, I do feel that. Like, how many, like, I don't know. I would be interested to know how many housewives watched that movie and was like, I feel fucking seen.
Yeah.
Or holy shit, I do get taken advantage of at my job. I don't get, you know what I mean? It's like, if for people who are naturally feminist or like intersectional, like no intersectional feminism, they're like watching that movie and you're like, oh, this is a fun, hilarious like movie. But then it's like the people who watch it that probably are like, you know, flyover states or just kind of like, you know what, actually realizing it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think that's like the really great thing that Barbie did. And Greta was like able to package it in this like bubblegum pink, like serving it thing. I don't think the way that like, you know.
Well, there's also the naive parents on Twitter that are like, I took my kids to watch this. This is not a kid's movie.
Exactly.
It's not animated.
It's
And
not animated.
got Ryan Gosling in it. It's not going to be a kids movie.
I'm
Okay,
not-
his abs are going to be out.
His abs are going to be out, and it's going to
The
be
abs
amazing.
were
And
abbing.
I'm not going to lie, and not even trying to be like
is
deep
Knuff.
with this. I really do think that man should be nominated for an Oscar, because that role, like the fact that
Sublime.
sublime, the Kenergy of it all, the Kenergy, where I was like, you are surrounded by some of the greatest women actors of our generation,
Yeah.
and you are still able to spearhead and gracefully take over the scene, and
Yeah.
it was just like Ryan, I just feel like seamlessly did that shit where I was like,
I agree.
that's my boy. I
agree.
don't know him personally, but I feel like I was rooting for him where I was like, that's my friend Ryan. But yeah, there's just something about, I feel like that movie that I really liked and really enjoyed.
Okay, now back to your boo.
Oh, okay. So yes,
If you want to talk about him, you don't have to if you don't want to.
No.
How is it being in an LDR? Long distance relationships. You didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, I did not know what that meant.
Not everyone's going to know the acronym LDR.
That's true. And
Wait, did he see Oppenheimer too?
Yeah, we went to both.
Oh,
we
you went
saw
to both,
both.
okay.
We saw Oppenheimer
give him a
in
handy?
IMAX. Huh? Wait, what?
Well,
said,
asked
"Did
if
you
you
give
give
him
him
a
a
hand?"
No, you know what's so funny is our first date was at a movie, and it was
Yeah.
like Dungeons and Dragons, and my friend Lauren was like, no, Rose, you don't understand, that's like a really bad, because me and her are both D&D fans, so it was like, she was like, that's a bad movie to go with a boy, because you're not going to make out with him, like you're going to actually want to watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting down with the Southern gentleman being like, sorry sir, we're not going to make out, and he was like, I didn't think we were, like this is the first date, he's a Southern gentleman. So yeah, that was like, we saw that, but yeah, no, I didn't give a handy in Oppenheimer. I think it would have been the saddest hand job ever. I'd just be like, we're all gonna die, you know? Or like, did we survive this? Yes, like the bomb. But no, didn't give him a handy. I did not give him a handy and Oppenheimer. We just enjoyed it for its cinematic beauty. Yeah, but no, me and the boo. That's what we do. We watch a lot of movies. This is my second
Long
LDR.
Okay.
My ex and I were in a long distance relationship. We did not break up because of the distance. We broke up because he needed to be alone and like didn't have the, like, I feel like the words or alone, like the confidence to just be like, hey, I don't think I could be in a relationship right now. So I pulled the plug and felt like I was like, oh, sir, we just grew apart. But this one, we're in a long distance relationship, and this is the first one where there's a time zone difference because he's 3 hours ahead of us. And so he's in the future. I like to call him my future bae because he's literally in the future.
How is it 3 hours from now? What's happening?
Exactly. What's happening? You know?
I love that.
You know, tell me the ending of a show. I don't know. People don't watch shows live anymore. Obviously, I'm so nervous to talk about him. I don't know why.
You don't have to. I was just
No.
curious.
I know people are. You're not. I
Do
know
you
a lot of
phone
people are
sex?
curious. Yes.
Okay. Now, my other question is: do you think there's an end in sight to the LDR?
You know, we actually,
Because I think that's the key to it. And correct me. I like this. This is my theory. I think long distance relationship can work as long as there is somewhat of an end in sight. Someone is willing to move, or there's a way where you can converge locations. Do not move.
Here's the thing. But this is what you're talking about, where it's like, can you find a convergent and like meet in the middle?
Yeah.
Because even though I'm on a writer's strike, Atlanta is where I work.
Yeah.
LA is where I live. Well,
Yeah.
LA and Seattle are the two places where I live. He works in the industry. He is at a point right now where he can only work in the like East Coast, like local unions. And so it's like, you know, he can work where he can, and then eventually he can move to the West Coast unions and everything. So we've like had those conversations. He is a photographer, so he's been taking a lot of photography jobs on the West Coast, or he's applying for jobs on the West Coast. And so we're having this conversation. One of the things that I absolutely love about this man, for truly, is I told him, I was like, I'm not moving out of my apartment, and it is very difficult for me to give up any space to a man in my apartment. You're lucky you got a drawer. And he goes, bet. He was like, cool. And so he's not forcing this idea of like us having to have an end in sight, because I feel like this relationship has shown me how deep my commitment issues are.
Oh.
Because it's the first relationship, I feel like, Sex and the City reference, I feel like we're that episode of Carrie where she kept having nightmares when she was Aiden, because she was like, I'm so happy, and like I don't understand like why I'm still stressing. And I'm like realizing it's because it's the first relationship that I actually genuinely don't have to worry about. He does not need to be my ex really needed to be reassured, and like to a point where I was sacrificing like everything to make him feel good. And with the Southern gentleman, he's just kind of like, you know, yeah, I trust you and I love you and we're going to make this work. And it's, you know, we'll talk when we can. And I'll tell him, I was like, I feel suffocated. And he's like, great. What can I do to help you? Like it's first of all,
Who raised him?
I was literally about to say, I have not met his mother, but I can't wait to give her a handshake and then immediately buy her dinner because I don't like.
Yeah.
And his older sister, who had a huge part in raising him, he is honestly such a sweet, kind person. Now, because of that, I realize that I am the problem because I find myself being like, oh my God, like I'm stuck in a relationship. Oh my God, like everything's going great. Like, what if I fuck it up? Like, I'm going to ruin this. And he's like, it's fine. Like, you're good. Just breathe. Like, we can walk through this. So it is showing me that I have always had commitment issues. And one of the main reasons why is because I have watched nothing but bad examples of marriage, right? Whether it be like my grandparents, my parents, I've watched them, you know, they're doing great now, but I've watched them like, I mean, fucking almost 40 years of marriage. Those two. And it's like, the fuck, like that. Even saying that number like gives me a panic attack to be with one person for 40 years. That terrifies me. So
What?
But then try monogamy. But then this idea of I want a life partner.
Yeah.
And I want it to be that one person. And I'm a Scorpio who gets jealous and has territorial issues. So then I'm like, you can only have me, you know? And I also
get that.
And I'm
Scorpio
also,
Mars.
And I also not want to be the person that goes out there either. And like, you know, I'm just like, once I latch onto someone, I'm like loyal as fuck and I can't break it. But
Fixed water.
Yeah, it really is. And it's
Once
just,
you have your cup, that's where you stay.
that's where I say it's like super safe and everything. But now I'm realizing that I'm like, other things are coming up where I'm just like, right now, my job is a shit show because I'm on strike.
Yeah.
I don't know where my money is coming from right now. I'm stressed. I don't know how the fuck I'm going to pay rent next month, like at all. I'm trying to hustle. I've been applying to jobs like crazy. No one's hiring right now. My parents are growing old. Like my mom has cancer. My dad doesn't have cancer.
I'm sorry to hear that.
You know, she's doing fine. You know, she needs help. She walks with like a cane. My dad just got over having like throat cancer and like now he's you know coming up with his own, so it's like
your personal life is
so everything's a shit show. And then here is this very calm, simple, sweet, loving, kind, amazing human being in the middle, and I'm like, you see all this shit and you don't want to run. That scares me. And I don't know why it brings tears to my eyes.
If it makes you feel better, this reminds me a lot of, so when I first met my ex-husband, I was 18. I had just moved to, you know, Oklahoma for college. I was, you know, like I had all
Nikki crashed her car.
I crashed my car.
Fun.
And then like I had to pay like a ridiculous amount of money in tuition because I was out of state, and I had to pay for my meal plan too, which they like forced you to do for the first year if you were in the dorms, and it was like super expensive.
College
and
is
like
a scam.
Yeah, and I was always like worried about money. I was always worried about like you know, I was starting to feel insecure because I was like not, you know, a cheerleader anymore and working out 5 days a week, and like all these things started piling up. And I had the same feeling. I met my ex-husband, super stable, very grounding, very loving, very supportive. And I was just like, how the fuck do you want me?
Yes.
And it was like the most terrifying thing. And I had to put so much work into being like, and actually we talked about this in a recent episode. I had to put so much work into being like, and with his help too, which was great, believing that like I am lovable just the way that I am, you know? And it's funny because I did that work then, and then I built myself to like this amazing place. And then, you know, it all came crashing down during my divorce, and then I had to redo all that work all over again.
That's fine. Everything, life comes in cycles.
It comes back in cycles. But it taught me that like, you know, sometimes, you know, it doesn't matter like what exactly, you know, you're going through, like someone loves you for you. And they're there because like you're you know, you're your energy,
and you're fucking amazing,
and you
bro.
are
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah. So,
But
like
that's
I understand the worry though, because like I thought the same thing. I was like, how do you look at me and like want to be with me?
And that's, and then like, look, I know I'm a catch, and I know
Yes, you
that
are.
I am hot and I am a hot mess, right? So it's like, it's very much one of these things where I'm like, it's so crazy because like I'm like, I don't think I'll ever find anyone to love. Like I'll find someone, if me and him were to break up, I could find someone else that I could love. But the difference is I don't think anyone can love me as deep as this man loves me.
Yeah.
Because it is very crazy and it's really epic because like I know I'm the shit. I really do. But this is the first time that I can tell a man I know I'm the shit, but right now I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to like try to be this like I think he could sense that I was trying to be like this perfect girlfriend for him because he talks about how I'm so amazing and I'm lovable and I'm like, yeah, I know those things, but like I'm not that right now.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like freaking out because then I'm like, oh my God, am I lying to this man? Like, does he see?
But you get imposter
it's like
syndrome. But you get
imposter
imposter
syndrome,
syndrome,
right?
yeah.
We all have seasons. And it's like there's always going to be a time where, you know, maybe something is just, you know, things are going on all different directions and you just feel, you know, stuck or whatever. You feel like shit.
Or you're sitting in the mess and it's hard to like allow
exactly.
It's hard
But
to make
it's like-
space for someone to sit alongside you when you're sitting in the mess.
But it's like, it's really
Yeah.
nice, you know, when you find someone that looks at all of that and they're like, hey, you know, I'm going to be here with you and help you through that.
I'm gonna sit on the pile of mess.
And I just feel like that also then my commitment issues, thank God for my therapist, my commitment issues are also attached to my independence because this idea that I can fix everything. Like my mother and father, their biggest fault is that they raised an independent woman and my father raised me to be the husband I do not need. And because of that, I'm like,
I felt that.
Right.
That's me. I am the husband I don't need.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. Or the husband I want. But
yeah, exactly. I'm like, there's not going to be any man better than me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then you find a man that is, and it's terrifying because it's like,
a man is like dessert.
whoa, okay.
Oh, you've never seen that clip from Cher?
No.
The one where she's like,
She's
oh,
like,
I
I think
love
men are the coolest. I
But you
love
don't-
men.
but you don't
really
them.
need them to live.
You don't need dessert to, oh God. I have a skateboard in my house that has the Cher quote, I am the rich man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
is
it
that same quote? Okay,
Yeah, where
that
her,
same
she was
monologue?
like, one day my mom said, you know, honey, you're gonna settle down and find a rich man, and she's like, Mom, I am the rich man.
Then the interviewer goes, did you mean to make that sound mean and bitter?
and she was like,
And then she goes, oh, no, I adore men.
yeah, so,
And then
and then
she's
she
like, I
continues,
think
I
men
love
are the
it.
coolest.
yeah,
You
exactly.
don't
So
need
it's
See, it's very much that. But then when you find someone and you're
Yeah.
like, oh wow, you like this idea that I'm like, so then I have to put my shit aside so you can sit in the mess. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I'll sit on top of it.
Yeah.
Like I'll like the whole idea that like I have dirty laundry on this bed, and he's like, well, you know, let me, you know, you don't have to push any aside. If you want me to sit on top of the dirty laundry, fine. If you don't want me to look at it, I'll pretend it's not there. Like he's so accommodating. What?
that made me think of, and I did talk about this in an episode one or two episodes ago. I can't remember. I had a partner that when I first met him, he was depressed. And the way that he knew he was depressed because he would always have like piles and piles of laundry all over his room. And I remember we would just go in his bedroom and I wouldn't say anything. We would just make a little bit of space, move the clothes aside, just lay in whatever space we could make and watch Lilo and Stitch together after taking edibles and having really great sex. And, you know, and then like, I dated him for over a year, and like over time, like the laundry went away. Those piles of laundry went away. He started to like, you know, get his stuff together and like, you know, have a therapist. And like, I remember one of the very last times I saw him, his room was spotless. Like it was decorated nicely. He had like, he had nice, you know, like bedding that he had just bought and a really nice lamp that he just bought and like all this stuff. And it was spotless. And I was laying there with him and I was just like so fucking proud of like all the work that he had put in. So when you said that about the laundry, I was just like, I loved him in all of that, in all of those seasons. And I was willing to sit on the laundry and on the clean bed.
And
so
it's
like
crazy.
Believe him when he wants to sit on the laundry with
And
you.
I'm like, that's the thing is that I'm like, I don't. It's like, it's not the idea. Obviously, I believe him because he's like proving that I could trust him and everything. The part that I'm fighting against is
Your nervous system.
The fight and flight. of it
Yeah,
all.
your nervous system.
Like, I'm like, I don't ever want to feel too comfortable with a man.
Yeah.
Like, I want there to be like this idea that like I
Control.
left the back door unlocked. You know what I mean? Like mentally,
Yeah.
I left that back door unlocked for a reason so I can like escape at any point.
You want that last little bit of control.
Exactly. And what I think is so amazing is compared to like any relationship that I've had, this is the first time I can tell him. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm suffocated as hell. I feel, and he's like, okay. Like, it's the first time I can tell this man some things. And then, of course, that triggers it where I'm like, am I trusting him too much? But it's a weird fear to have, but it's been weirdly healthy because I'm normally stressed about relationships. And this is the first one where I'm like, all my stress is focused on more important things. Like, how the hell fuck am I going to pay bills and not him? Yeah. And so it's really great. He's a really sweet man. He is very talented in many ways, if you know what I mean. It's, you know, I am satisfied. So yeah, it's good. It's amazing and it's weird. And it's strange.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you.
And one thing that I will say, my therapist told me.
Yes, Cammie.
So, and especially with this like fight or flight and like this need of control that you have, like it'll take your body about a year and a half to feel regulated, with him.
Why a year and a half?
So my therapist was explaining it to me because I remember I was explaining to her, like, I have my own trust issues with relationships and with men. And with my ex, like, he and I were together for about 2 years. And I was like, around the year and a half point, like, I felt secure. It took me that long to feel secure. And then after that, like, you know, then whatever happened. Anyways, and she was like, well, when you're a baby, it takes your body 18 months to, like... I explained it in another podcast. I'm trying to remember like the exact wording that she used. But essentially she said it takes 18 months for your body to feel like safe and
like feel
regulated.
Informed. Like you can stand on your own. You can like think, oh shit.
And it just takes time sometimes. You look at, since I know you like to read, look into some books on like co-regulating together, like with the body. Okay. So like that your nervous system can like regulate with his.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called co-regulate, or like co-regulating is like when you, because it's good to self-regulate, but you also want to co-regulate, and so like you can do that with another person in a variety of ways. And I know there are some great books out there about it.
You know what's so funny is you say that, and I know I can already hear his being like, "Ooh, let's do it together!" Like his his eagerness to do homework. It's
Love
just
that.
like it's super cute, and like it's as we keep talking about, like I'm a storm cloud. I'm a cute little sexy storm cloud, and he's just this like happy-go-lucky storm cloud just bouncing around next to me and being like, it's working.
Really, it sounds to me like he's the grass waiting for your rainfall.
Fuck off. This is about, let's talk about dicks. You know what I mean? This isn't about the heart.
I know this is a healing season. I know we were talking about this is a healing season.
It's like when Kylie.
We're all healing.
It's like when Kylie was like, 2015 is like realizing things. This is like the healing.
We're like 2023, we're realizing things.
I feel like it's I do agree. I feel like if you want to talk about like on a spiritual level, like from the writer's strike to the post office strike to like, you know, maids striking and everything, it's like there is like, there's a shift happening. A shedding. There's a big shift. Yeah. There is a season, and people need to realize there is an end in sight, and it might not look like how we started, but that's okay. We'll figure the fuck out, you know?
Yeah. And that's what we can all tell ourselves. Yeah.
Exactly.
So you can tell you, so I can, you know, we can tell each other, it's just like, you know, this is a season.
This is a season. And we'll be fine. Oppenheimer taught me anything, we'll be fine. Okay? They thought they were about to murder everyone on planet Earth. And guess what? They didn't.
Yeah.
they didn't. Shocking.
And now we have Barbie.
Okay, spoiler alert, they didn't. Okay. I know. My new thing now is I'm like, in the year of the Barbie film, you want to talk like, that's become my new thing now that I say.
I love that.
Or the year of Oppenheimer, you want to be not optimistic. Stop. Okay.
I love this.
I was going to say plug yourself, but wrong podcast.
Rose, I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to hear more about this.
Wait, has it been an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait to meet him.
I was gonna say, we're gonna meet him at the live show.
Hey, people that are listening.
Oh yeah, anyone going to the live show? Rose's
you
boo
will
be
meet my
there.
boo. I know.
And Rose's opening.
I am. It's me and
Billy Procida.
Yes, I'm so excited.
It's Procida.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyways.
Okay.
Do you want to plug yourself?
Yes. You can find me at Rose_Etta Stone on Instagram, and the artist formerly known as Twitter, I guess.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, as always, the new blog on theblock.com.
Also, what's your Venmo?
Oh my God.
People can donate. I'm just saying,
I'll
guys.
plug your Venmo
You
in.
know what? We gotta support our writers. Okay,
I'm gonna be. This is a quick little plug. I've been joking about how I want to do like a chat GBT, and it's literally just a chat. Like I will write your breakup letters for you. Like let me do it. Like those
Love that.
things
The
that you're
breakup
sending.
text?
Yes, my Venmo is at Rose_Etta Stone. It's the same
Perfect.
everywhere. I will write your breakup letter. I will write your letter of recommendation, whatever you need. I will not write your scripts
Cover letter.
because
Cover
I'm
letter.
on strike. But like, I'm trying to kick it. And also, if you want,
She's a talented bitch, guys.
thank you. You also can DM me if I can tell you all the great resources where you can donate for the WG and SAG.
Dope.
So, anyways,
Now let's get started on that sober
let's do
polyamorous
Yes.
screenplay.
Guys, y'all know where to find us. Double Team Podcast, Kimmy and Nikki, doubleteampodcast.com.
Anything else?
Anything else?
Everything else will be in the episode description. Love
Yep.
y'all.
Wear condoms. Bye.
Click and describe. Sorry. Click
Back
below
to
and
the
subscribe.
garage conversation.
Oh yes, the
So-
garage.
Oh,
I'm
I'm always so
called the
used to my
garage.
equipment that I have to start unplugging. I'm like, wait, I don't have to unplug shit.
But garage, and then but the funny thing is that it's just the garage of it all is just how you say it. There's garage. They call it